today is election day, bring them to the polls with you. I grew up in the Philadelphia area. My parents would take me. It was magical. As I got older, my grandmother was an election judge in the region. And, I would go visit her after school, and I would go in. We used to vote in a firehouse. The fire trucks would be parked on the street. They were larger than life. The bays were all lit up. It felt like the whole neighborhood was there. People would always say hello. It was fun. It was social. And I would see these, to me, which looked like 10-foot tall silver machines with big curtains. And you would hear the click, 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 and you would see the lever go open and shut as the curtains would open and close. And it seemed very exciting. It seemed very important. And for better or for worse, that's what made me, I think, become a political scientist many years later. And over the weekend, I had a chance to bring my kids. Now, this is not the first time they've voted. I took them pre-COVID. But they were babies. They had no idea what was going on. This year was different.
Yeah.
And, we go to check in, and they ask for my name, and my son tells us our family name. And they say, okay, young man, and they hand him a big ballot. And he knew that it was important.
Oh.
And, he helped me fill out the buttons. And then when we were done, do not take it out of the envelope. Keep it in the envelope, and let's go put it in the ballot counting machine. And he fed it in, and, the machine lit up and did the little fireworks thing. And he knew something important happened. And, on our way out, after he got his sticker and his souvenir pen, he said, when can we vote again? This is important.
Oh, I love it. That may be the best of all. The ending matters. There are so many out there today who are saying, oh, I'm so glad we don't have to do this for another 2 years and another 4 years on the presidential cycle. But I think we actually should be thinking more in terms of, I can't wait till we get to do this again. And I love the way you've approached it in terms of, let's make sure that our young people, whether they're our children or our grandchildren or people in our neighborhoods, make sure they understand that this is important. It does matter. And it's not this big, awful, horrible, scary thing. It's actually a really cool thing.
It absolutely is. And as more and more states change the way in which they vote, meaning they have extended open periods to vote, we had over a week here to vote in New York, you can find the time to do it. I've actually been advocating, we go back to the days of George and Martha Washington, where Martha Washington baked an absolutely disgusting cake that's known as the Martha Washington cake. This thing will give you diabetes after one bite. It's so sugary and heavy. However, it was an amazing cake, and it was a community celebration around that. And, we talk about how we rebuild community. Well, there are obviously faith-based communities, but we need non-sectarian, just geographic communities. And this is something that we can instill in our kids at a very young age. It was never a question when I turned 18, was I going to vote? The answer was, you bet. And I did it out in California, when I was in college. I was so excited to do it. I missed, we didn't have the giant voting booth in California at the time. So it was a bubble sheet and a small standing booth. But it was exciting, and it was never a question. And I'm hopeful that with my own kids, they're going to want to do this, and it becomes habitual. And the thing about habitual voting is, once you start it, it's hard to turn off. So it's a small little intervention we can do as Americans with our grandkids, our children, and others in the community to really instill this important value.
Yeah. Give me one sense as we look at all of this. There's so much of the doom and gloom and the anger, fear, frustration stuff. And I want to get to the conversation of, with our young people in particular, how do we help them lean into that conversation? Because as you said, if you do it once, the chances of you doing it again go up exponentially. And if you vote 2 cycles in a row, the chances you're going to be a lifelong voter are almost 100% certain. And so how should we be talking to our young people? You do this every day at Sarah Lawrence College. So how do we do this different? How do we do this better?
And I want to say it's not just at Sarah Lawrence. I do this all over the country, and it works the same way everywhere. And what I've been doing of late has been the following. I say, folks, remember we had that pandemic, COVID, a little while ago? Well, you may have noticed that states were very, very different. And suddenly federalism matters in a way it didn't, a decade ago for me when I was, or 2 decades ago for me when I was thinking about college and what have you. They recognize that there are state differences and local differences. And I point out very quickly to all student audiences, well, I say, it's not that hard to get involved. You would be amazed how quickly you can get involved in your community, your precinct, your state and local government, and actually have a voice. All you have to do is show up in most cases. And I then point to numerous examples of students who have done that. And a lot of them realize, oh, my goodness, maybe I can actually do that. And the goal is to say, look, it's not some elusive, arm's length government in Washington, as so many folks on the west of the Mississippi think about it. And it's not their fault. It is far away. But the idea is to say, look, you can connect locally and really have a very, very strong impact very, very quickly. And if we can instill that value and say, look, democracy requires participation, it requires voice, and it requires cooperation, and it doesn't take years to do it. You can make a difference within an election cycle or two. We can really create a more healthy, engaged civil sphere. And that's what I've been pushing with my students, which is it's not just voting, but it's go to your community board, go to your, whatever hearing. And if you have something that's bothering you, talk about it, share it. And there's so many examples of people who are doing that left and right that they realize that, and hopefully they'll actually act on it.
Yeah, so important. And before I let you go, as we work our way through this election day, we've been talking a lot here about the first Wednesday of November because we actually believe that is most important. And so give us one thing you hope we all would think different or do different when we all get up tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning, the first Wednesday of November. What should we be doing?
Well, first, it's not clear if we're going to know who wins quite yet.
Correct.
It's going to depend on turnout and a whole host of other factors. But to remember that we're all American, and we forget this, and we've talked about this so often here, which is important, which is, presidents come and go. Our values should not change that much, and we have the power to exercise our voice if we don't like something. Presidents are only one piece of the political machine. And while they're certainly important, there are numerous opportunities to engage and promote change in a positive way. So if your preferred candidate simply does not win tonight or tomorrow or whenever it is, it doesn't mean you should disengage. It doesn't mean you should, bring out the hate. It means you should say, okay, we'll try this for a little bit. Let me engage in another way, in another spot, and see what I can do to bring our communities together. It is not a call for disengagement. It should be a call for increased engagement, increased compassion, and an increased sense of or questioning of how do we make America even better.
Increased compassion, increased questioning. We can all do that. And we ought to be doing that every day, not just around elections, for sure. Fantastic. As always, Samuel Abrams, Sarah Lawrence College, and our friends at American Enterprise Institute always appreciate the perspective and insight, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thanks.
We're going to step aside for some bottom-of-the-hour news. More Inside Sources coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We got you covered. It's Election Day 2024.
An airliner heads for Alaska with 101 passengers and crew. Then, somewhere over the Gulf of Alaska, Flight 293 slams into the icy water below.
Even if all four engines quit, it just doesn't fall out of the sky.
No bodies were recovered. Loved ones had no closure and were left to wonder.
What happened to Flight 293?
Unsolved Histories: What Happened to Flight 293 is available now. Follow us at unsolvedhistoriespod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top local story this hour. Salt Lake County voters are continuing to pour into election centers and to nearby drop boxes. They're voting on a couple major bonds, including one to combine 2 jails in the county into one facility. Jessica Bastine voted for it.
I think a new jail is incredibly important for making sure even the people that are held up in our incarceration have acceptable living conditions and proper programs available to them.
Another voter said they voted against it over the financial obligation. If you haven't voted yet, be sure to be in a line at a polling site or at a drop box no later than 8 p.m. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Trump and Harris closed out their campaigns by zeroing in on battleground states like Nevada. Nevada Secretary of State Francisco Aguilar says the process of counting mail-in ballots has already started.
Clerks across the state could start processing 15 days before Election Day their mail ballots that they've had on from early mail. Clark County was caught up as of Saturday night. There was no mail for them to process on Sunday, and yesterday they got right back at it.
Aguilar also says there are 23 open lawsuits already, but that he doesn't think they will have an effect on the electoral process. Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 361 points, S&P up 61. Coming up, scattered showers. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 1:32.
us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
The temperatures outside have dropped a bunch, and now my family and I are enjoying the benefits of our brand new windows from Advanced Window Products in a different way. During the summer, it was nice to be able to keep the cold air in. Now it's nice to see how much more efficiently we can keep warm air inside. We replaced 20 of our builder-grade windows with high-efficiency windows and a glass door to our backyard with a built-in pet door, and we have just been thrilled with the results. We're already saving on our energy bill. We're helping pay for the windows with the rebate available through Dominion Energy. Our price didn't include any middleman markups because they did the sales and the installation all in-house. My wife and I love that there's a lifetime warranty serviced by their local team, labor, glass, parts included. I promise they're going to treat you right, and you'll have an amazing experience from start to finish, just like I did. Right now is a great time to do it. Also, they're having an end-of-season sale. Save $2,500 on 10 windows or more. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindows.com.
Build up to Black Friday with savings all month long at Lowe's. Right now, get up to 35% off select major appliances. Plus, save up to $500 on select LG major appliances. And get holiday inflatables for under $20. Because Lowe's knows deals. Valid 10/24 through 11/5. Applies to select LG major appliances only. Cannot be combined with additional discounts. See Lowe's.com for details and qualifying items. While supplies last.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. N76, visit staples.com/print for details.
Bill Riley here with University of Utah head football coach Kyle Whittingham. Now tell me, Coach Whitt, what's your philosophy on a winning team?
I believe the key to winning is a strong offensive line. When the linemen do their job, nothing gets through to the quarterback, so he can do his job.
Well, what happens if the linemen don't do their job?
Ouch. You know, Bill, I recently learned that kidneys work like linemen for your body. When your kidneys work, they block poisons and chemicals from your blood.
Coach, I've heard that 1 in 9 Americans have some form of kidney disease. What can we do to fight back?
Join me, Coach Kyle Whittingham, and be part of the winning team against kidney disease. Donate your used car or truck to the Kidney Foundation. Your car will be towed for free, and you'll get a receipt for a tax deduction. Tell them how to do that, Bill.
Donate your car to the Kidney Foundation today and make your car a kidney car. Cars to save lives. Call 1-800-TOW-CARS. That's tow cars. Cars with a K. 1-800-TOW-CAR.
Every year, the National Kidney Foundation helps individuals and families affected by kidney disease. Help them out by making your car a kidney car. Call 1-800-TOW-CARS.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
For those in the downtown area, we do have Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash at 1300 South 100 East. Also, a crash reported eastbound on Highway 6. This is after Spanish Fork, approaching Spanish Fork, the mouth of Spanish Fork Canyon. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's cold with rain and snow tapering off, partly cloudy tomorrow. High of 43 today and tomorrow. Right now it is 39 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, we're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources on Election Day 2024. It is the first Tuesday of November. Remember, the first Wednesday of November will come, whether we know who the next president is or not. And everyone's going to get up and go to work and take care of their family and help a neighbor in need. And the Republic will roll on, folks, because of people, not because of politicians. And it's so interesting to me, the staggering amount of money that has been pouring in, especially to the presidential campaigns. Billions of dollars. It's amazing. And the celebrity status that is being built up around so many of our politics and our politicians. I think it's a good time for us to think again about what we think we know about the constitutional role of the president. And are we starting to evolve it into something that it's not supposed to be? Really thrilled to have back on the program with us Kevin Williamson, of course, a national correspondent at the Dispatch based in Virginia, and always love Kevin's pieces in the Dispatch. And Kevin, I've been looking forward to this conversation because I know you have thoughts. What is it that we have done to the presidency? Again, regardless of political party stuff, what have we done to the presidency, and where are we maybe a little sideways in terms of original intent?
Yeah, well, we've made it a king, and sort of an old-fashioned king, too. You know, they've said, one observer said, the great thing about the British monarchy is that it has majesty but no power. Whereas in the proper kind of small r Republican tradition, the American presidency should have power but no majesty. Unfortunately, we built the presidency into this kind of thing where it's both, where the president is both the chief administrator of the executive branch of the government. He's treated as though he's kind of the overall head of state, even though we don't really have a head of state in the United States exactly. And he's treated as a kind of symbolic national sacred figure. You know, he's treated as a personification of the nation as a whole. And that's a real problem for our politics, because if we're fighting over whether the federal government's administrative agencies are going to be overseen by this guy or that guy, and this guy likes these ideas and that guy likes those ideas, okay, that's a fight we can have. But if our country isn't really our country, if the wrong kind of person is elected to the office, it's like, you know, when the English were fighting over their Catholic and Protestant kings, essentially, where England couldn't really be England and it couldn't really be a good country if there was the wrong sort of person on the throne, even though those English kings, none of them were actually really very good, I don't think. But that's a whole other conversation.
Separate conversation. Yeah, we'll save that for Thursday.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're going to treat the president as the, you know, kind of moral and spiritual and national personification of the country, then you can't have a normal political fight over that, right? Because there's no compromise about that sort of thing. It's an all or nothing kind of thing. You know, my vision of politics is people sitting in a room arguing about what the top income tax rate is going to be.
Yeah.
And saying, well, if we make it 39%, we get this much money, and we can spend this. If we make it 35%, we're going to have less money. What are we going to cut?
Yeah.
That's the kind of political conversation I can get to. But our conversations are sort of this, you know, what does it mean about us that Donald Trump is going to be president? Or what does it mean about us as a people that Kamala Harris is going to be president? Well, mainly what it means is that politics doesn't really attract the best people. But that's another issue as well. And, you know, so we treat it as though the stakes are very high. And, of course, the stakes really aren't all that high. You know, what's interesting about this is that if you look at really, really big things, the economy, foreign policy, those sorts of things, we talk about them as though they swung wildly from president to president and from administration to administration. The United States actually has had a pretty consistent foreign policy across Republican and Democratic administrations, a bad one for the most part, and sort of a mediocre, incompetent, kind of chicken-hearted one. You know, the economy, the growth rate in the Trump administration was almost exactly the same as it was in the Biden administration, and almost exactly the same as it was in the Obama administration. We don't really see radical differences between the presidents.
Yeah.
And we talk about the president as though he's kind of personally responsible for the economy. And this is a very, very ancient form of superstition, where, you know, if the crops didn't grow and the animals didn't reproduce and the rains didn't come, then you went out and you murdered the monarch because he was not propitiating the gods in the right way, and you brought in someone else. Now, we don't kill ours, thank goodness. We just vote him out. But you know, I've written this, actually. I wrote a speech one time for Kamala Harris, not because I work for her, just as a journalistic exercise.
Yeah.
She's not a speech she delivered, talking about inflation and what it would be like to talk about inflation to the American electorate as though they were adults who you could expect to halfway understand the issue and take it seriously. And that's a very different conversation than the one we have.
Yeah.
And you think about the stuff that happened economically as a result of COVID. You know, COVID was not the Republican Party's fault, not the Democratic Party's fault, not any politician's fault, at least not any American politician's fault. It may have been some Chinese politician's fault. We don't really know. But so when you get a big economic contraction like that, your real decision you make is, well, we're going to engage in some economic stimulus, which both Republicans and Democrats supported.
Yep.
And do we risk having too much, which will cause inflation? Or do we risk having too little, which will cause an unnecessarily long recession in which a bunch of people will lose their jobs and businesses will close? And if Harris had been sort of more of a imaginative politician. She could have come out there and defended her position and said, yeah, we got it wrong. We got much more inflation than we had intended, but that was the calculation we made. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
It would be nice if there was some Goldilocks sweet spot that we could all agree on and get to, but no one knows where that is.
Yeah.
And, one of the dumb things about talking about the president as though he were responsible for, employment and wage growth and economic growth is that if that could just be sort of commanded from the White House, there would never be a recession.
That's right.
There would never be any economic problems at all because that's not in anyone's political interest.
Yeah.
Now, people will tell themselves these crazy stories about, well, they want to have a recession because they're, evil people and yada, yada, yada. But it's all very silly.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
Yeah. I want to stick in one last thing just really quick. Part of the reason I think we have this kind of imperial presidency is part of it is a Congress problem because Congress seems to be in this lovely habit or wanting to concede power or, just abdicate it to the executive branch. And they do that partially because then they don't have to be accountable, or when their constituents are mad, they can say, oh, hey, I just voted for clean air. You got a problem, go talk to the EPA folks. They're the real problem. And so,
so if the EPA changes the regulation or the Department of Labor changes the regulation, nobody has to go vote on that.
Right.
Not in Congress anyway. There's no roll call. And no one has to go face constituents and say, yeah, I voted for this aspect of changing the way we regulate, greenhouse gas emissions or the way we regulate overtime for hourly employees who work at franchises and that sort of thing. Yeah, there is certainly cowardice there. And, when the framers designed the Constitution, they assumed that each branch's individual ambition and jealousy of its own powers would be the thing that kept the government in balance. The Congress would be a check on the president would be a check on Congress, the Supreme Court check would be a check on everybody. What they didn't account for was that Congress's laziness would be much stronger than its ambition, and that its cowardice would be much stronger than its ambition, and that it would just punt the stuff over.
Yeah.
So when you combine that with the general kind of decline in organized religion in people's lives, politics has moved into that space in people's personal lives. So people look to the state and to the government to give them a sense of meaning. And then structurally, we've created this thing where the presidency has such an unbalanced and lopsided amount of the power compared to where it's supposed to be, that the president ends up becoming this sort of commanding, kingly national figure at the center of American life that he was never, ever intended to be. So it's worth keeping in mind that our second president, George Washington's a special case.
Yeah.
You can go to Washington, go to the Capitol, and look up and see a painting that's called literally the apotheosis of George Washington.
Yes.
He was deified in his lifetime. But our second president, Adams, he was a pretty modest guy.
Yeah.
Nobody's idea of a very impressive figure. He had crazy thoughts about titles for the president, you should recall. But no one looked at John Adams and said, now there's a God-man walking among us right there. And I think we'd be healthier if that was how we looked at the president.
A little bit more of that today for sure. Kevin Williamson, national correspondent with our friends at the Dispatch, one of the great writers, great thinkers in our country. And Kevin, we always appreciate you making time for us.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
All right. We'll step aside for a quick break. So important. If we make the presidency into everything, it becomes everything in our lives. If you want the presidency to be less consequential in your life, you got to make it less consequential to your lives. And we'll continue that conversation. Governor Gary Herbert, former governor of the state of Utah, will join us next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Paid for by government. Now is the time to fill your vault with Morgan Silver Bars. Grab your piece of America's silver legacy with this special offer. These spectacular shining silver bars featuring a crisp image of the iconic Morgan silver dollar, a legendary coin that has captivated collectors for generations. Americans treasure owning silver bars and coins, putting them away for themselves and their loved ones. Call now to secure 1 ounce silver bars minted in 99.9% pure silver and made in the USA. You'll be glad you did. Hurry, don't miss out on this special deal. Save $10 per silver bar. The more you buy, the more you save. Limit of 25 bars per customer. Call to learn more. Plus, with qualifying orders, you'll receive a free Morgan silver dollar. That's a $59.95 value and free shipping. Call 1-800-222-3967 now to secure your 1 ounce Morgan silver dollar bars. That's 1-800-222-3967.
Don't be worried, be ready. KSL News Radio has partnered with Be Ready Utah to provide the plans your family needs for an emergency, the tools and supplies to keep on hand, and the knowledge on how to keep a cool head.
It's Be Ready Utah. Listen to our show, Dave and Duchanovic, for Be Ready tips and tools.
Or you can always find the latest preparation info at BeReadyUtah.gov.
Be Ready Utah with KSL News Radio.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Mommy, want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let Mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Is your home ready for the holidays? Before your guests arrive, go with the pros at Zerorez. Carpet, tile, upholstery, air ducts, Zerorez does it all. Don't trust just anybody. Zerorez has a 4.9 rating on Google. Beat the holiday rush and call the cleaning heroes today. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning starting at just $119. And take 20% off upholstery cleaning by calling 801-288-9376. Or book online anytime at Zerorez.com and mention the KSL special. Backward or forward, it's the right way to clean. Zerorez.
I'm Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox. Listen to what actual clients have had to say about working with us.
I'm Paul. I'm a contractor. I had a tax problem that was pretty significant. Needed some help with the IRS. I had prepared my taxes for a few years, but when I went to file them, I didn't have any money to pay those taxes. And so I just filed the returns in my drawer and went about my business. And about 3 years went by when I did that, and pretty soon I owed $102,000. And I met with Jordan, and we talked about the hole I dug myself into. And from start to finish, the process was encouraging, supportive, saved me about $80,000, $102,000 to $22,000. No complaints.
Hi, I'm Jordan Wilcox. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit taxhelput.com to schedule your free consultation.
The relief is immeasurable.
That's taxhelput.com.
This fall, step into the world of mystery, music, and romance with Spanish Fork High School's production of The Phantom of the Opera. Starting November 14th and running through November 23rd, experience the passion, the drama, and the unforgettable music live on stage. Tickets are on sale now at www.dramadons.com. Don't miss the chance to see The Phantom, Christine, and the story that has captured hearts around the world.
Common Spirit Health, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Claire Scott. First, Salt Lake County Clerk Lanny Chapman says she's expecting a smooth day at the polls, but results won't start being released until after 8 p.m. Second, we're expecting a mix of light rain and snow as people head to the polls, lasting into this evening. Third, we're hearing about a house fire in West Valley City. Fire crews say they were able to get the fire at 35th West Christie Avenue under control quickly, but the house is a loss. Right now it is 39 and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Boyd Matheson divides rage from reason on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today, as always. I am Boyd Matheson. It is Election Day 2024, first Tuesday of November. And in the face of rising threats to democratic norms and growing mistrust in the electoral institutions, it's up to the citizens to uphold the integrity of the democratic process, regardless of partisan allegiances or personal preferences. All Americans should be vigilant against the corrosion and the corrosive influence of election denialism or political violence in any way, shape, or form. That is a growing trend in a lot of places. And so in an era of heightened polarization, it's time to recognize the civic unity and the faith in democratic institutions that stand as testaments to the enduring values that have sustained our constitutional republic for a really long time. Someone who knows this and is passionate about this, former governor of the great state of Utah, Gary Herbert, of course, has written a great piece at Deseret.com talking about the election results and integrity and why we should have confidence. And Governor Herbert, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, Boyd. The day we've been waiting for seemed like forever is finally upon us.
It is finally here. And give us the reason we should have confidence in our confidence in the process.
Well, I think number one, let's just all agree that there is no such thing as a perfect system. Mm-hmm. As long as we have human beings that do most of the work, and that's the case even with the technology we have today, it's the human touch is there, and we as humans make mistakes. But our system is good at correcting mistakes. I remember when I was a county commissioner, we had paper ballots, and voting on Tuesday didn't have really early voting, and we lost thousands of votes one year. Most of them Republicans, some of them Democrats, but we lost them. It just had been a mistake. The bags of the ballots had been placed in a place that nobody knew where they were until they stumbled onto them a couple of days later when they were looking for them. Mm. So people make mistakes. That being said, the people that are really doing the work, overseen by the Lieutenant Governor's office, but being done by our county clerks. They're people that are our neighbors. We elect them. They're trying to do the best job that they possibly can with the parameters given to them and the technology advancements we've made. And I trust them.
Yeah.
And if you don't trust your county clerks, who do you trust? I can tell you we have 29 of them. There's not any of them that don't believe we're going to get an accurate count of those who vote. And if there may be some mistakes made here and there, but we've never in our history have ever had anything that shows of any kind of a problem where there's been a lot of mistakes or fraud purposely that's changed any of the outcomes of an election. Yeah. So the system works. It's got good checks and balances there. It's redundancies built in the system. I trust our county clerks to give us a correct count, whether it's tonight or some will take a little longer in the days ahead, but we'll get the right count, and we have transparency and accuracy.
Yeah, and that transparency is such an important part. And you pointed this out in your Deseret piece that you can visit those processing centers. You can always volunteer to be a poll watcher. If not today, probably you're a little late for that, but doing things like that, I think, is so important to just engage in it. And then you also mentioned just kind of on the back end that if there are irregularities, we also have a process for that. And we've actually seen that here in the state of Utah in some really close elections where things were contested or things went to court and they got adjudicated and we got to the right result in the end. And so there really are a lot of reasons why we should have confidence in this. And I love that you started with our county clerks.
Well, everybody should know. And again, I think if you have any questions, talk to your county clerk. They're happy to explain to you what's taking place and why they believe and have confidence in the system. If you don't like the process, talk to your legislature. That's a way to change the process. I think the legislature has confidence, but there's probably room for improvement. For example, I think on signature gathering, I think what we're realizing is that maybe the numbers are too high. It's interesting to know that a congressman who's running for one of our four congressional seats has to get fewer signatures than somebody running for the Utah County Commission. Mm. And is that proportionally wrong? Maybe we ought to have people able to sign more than one petition. If you're a voter, why are you limited just to one? So there's some things and modifications that probably ought to be talked about to see if we can find an improvement in our existing system. If people find something wrong, talk to your county clerk, talk to your legislator, and see if we can figure out a way to improve it or fix whatever the problem is perceived. Or you may find out there's no problem at all.
Yeah, So important. Governor, before I let you go, give us one thing from you. You've sat through a lot of election night tabulations and counting. We've been watching the candidates, showing up at polling locations and at their campaign headquarters. And I always say the campaign managers are just trying to find stuff to keep the candidates busy so they're not climbing the walls during these last hours. Give us one memory, just real quickly, of an election night that mattered for you.
Well, they all mattered to me. I'm 10-1. I lost my first campaign running for the city council of Orem, and then I won 10 in a row after that. Ended up being in the governor's office. But they're all important. There's no way to get past being anxious. You hope for the best. You never know what's going to happen. But my first campaign running for the city council, I lost by 36 votes. And my political career was over, I thought. And so you never know. I mean, every vote does count, and some of the local town races, one vote has a little more weight than, say, a statewide race. But I found out that, and I've said this many times, there are no losers. We have people that they are part of the discussion, part of the policy making. They end up impacting what we vote on. There might be people that get less votes than another candidate, but there's no losers. We're all winners, and that's what makes the system work so well. The ability for anybody and everybody can throw their hat in the ring and say, hey, choose me. I've got some ideas.
I love that. Former Governor Gary Herbert, thanks for making some time for us on Election Day 2024. Great perspective and great reason for all of us to have confidence as we go into the counting that will roll into the night tonight. Governor Herbert, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Get out and vote, everybody.
All right. That's former Governor Gary Herbert. You heard it. Get out and vote. If you haven't already, get out there. I don't care what the weather's doing for you right now. Make sure you got a plan and you got a path to get to your voting location before 8 p.m. As long as you're in line before 8 p.m. tonight, you'll have a chance to make your voice heard. And it's an expression. It's an expression of what you value and what matters to you. And whether that's on an amendment, whether that's on a local city race, a county race, or a race for the White House, all of those are an opportunity for you to raise your voice and to express what matters to you. What are those critical pieces of the puzzle? And as former Governor Herbert pointed out, especially here in the state of Utah, we should have great cause for confidence. Those county clerks do the hard work and heavy lifting far away from cameras and spotlights, but they're the ones who tee us up in this state to have so much confidence in the process and ultimately in the results. Well, that wraps up hour number 1 of Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. We'll step aside for some top-of-the-hour news. Don't go anywhere. We got a big hour number 2 coming up next, including we'll touch base with Dennis Romboy and Sam Benson, who are in Washington, D.C. and Florida at the Harris and Trump campaigns. We'll touch base with them coming up in hour number 2 here on Inside Sources. We'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. KSL's top story this hour. Hundreds are lined up inside the Utah County Health and Justice Building, making sure their vote gets counted. Julia Ballot just moved to Utah County and didn't have time to update her address and get a mail-in ballot. She says she's waiting in line to cast her vote.
Because I'm an American. I just feel like my opinion matters.
Volunteers say the line is expected to grow through the afternoon as more people get off of work. Our top national story this hour from ABC News so far, Georgia is reporting very few issues at the polls, despite 2 locations having to be evacuated following a series of bomb threats this morning. Georgia's Secretary of State blames Russian interference.
5 to 7 different precincts that were affected.
In what area?
Different areas, different counties. But that was this morning, and law enforcement jumped right on that. And we knew it was coming from a foreign state actor.
A couple of counties postponed voting for 30 minutes while they had to go through and do a check. KSL News Time 2:01, your money at this moment. The Dow is up 427 points. Coming up, a look at the weather forecast, down to 35 degrees overnight. We'll tell you about tomorrow. Coming right up, KSL News Time 2:02.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
You know what? I think the holidays are the worst time of year for your furnace to go out. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and every November it feels like people get extra stressed when faced with the need to replace their furnace. The money they've been saving is supposed to go to Christmas, and now they're faced with a choice: Christmas or comfort. This holiday season, Any Hour Services wants to help alleviate some of that stress with our special holiday financing. No money down and no payments until next year. Plus, if you schedule a free estimate before the end of November, Any Hour Services will give you $2,500 off any full system you buy. And that doesn't even factor in the rebates and incentives you might qualify for. Again, during the month of November, Any Hour Services will give you $2,500 off any furnace and air conditioner you buy. And you can take advantage of our special holiday financing with no money down and no payments until next year. For more details, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
As we approach the end of October now, you need to start planning ahead for all of those great occasions. Now, we've got Halloween at the end of the month. We've got Thanksgiving, all of the holiday Christmas celebrations and New Year's. Make sure you've got that reservation all set, locked down, ready to go at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. And if you're thinking of a company party, if you're looking for a great gift, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse can take care of it. They've got special rooms for that company gathering, but you do need to make your reservation right now. And a gift card to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, who wouldn't love that? 2 locations, Hotel Park City, and of course in the heart of downtown Salt Lake City at 275 Southwest Temple. They have got it all. The steaks cooked to perfection, seafood and poultry, those side dishes and desserts. Make sure this holiday season you are set and ready to go at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, Hotel Park City, downtown Salt Lake City.
Traffic and weather together now, brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
You may see a little bit of snow in the valley and making for some wet road surfaces, but it's the higher elevations in Big and Little Cottonwood Canyon that have been snow covered. We had a report of an accident, State Street 2100 South. Didn't see it. Also one involving 4 vehicles, Redwood Road 3100 South. Celebrate Taco Tuesday the tasty way at Cafe Rio. Handmade tortillas bring the vibes. Slow braised meats bring the punch. And 12 tasty toppings bring the party. Starting at just $2.49. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast: cold with rain and snow tapering off. You're going to see the sun tomorrow, the high today and tomorrow both. 43 degrees, right now 39. We do have a little light snow around. I'm Jeff Kaplan from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
It is Election Day 2024, the first Tuesday of November, and we're about an hour away from the first exit polls that will start to come out. Now, just to be clear, the exit polls are not results or how people voted, but the exit polls are what issues drove people to the polls. What was most important? How did they evaluate candidates in certain ways, in certain areas? And so those will start trickling out about an hour from now. And, of course, we've got you covered here on KSL News Radio throughout the afternoon and all the way deep into the night. And so we will be with you all the way through to keep you up to date. Now, we're going to do a little something different on our Think Again moment as we begin hour number 2 of Inside Sources. We always try to get past the headlines. And so here's an underneath the headline for you. If Boyd Matheson were President Day, what would we do different with the presidency? Let's begin.
Think you know the news of the day? Think Again with Boyd Matheson on KSL News Radio.
Well, I do want to get into the presidency itself because that has been the hot topic for months and years, actually, during this election cycle. Would President Joe Biden run again? Would he drop out partway through? Would former Trump become the Republican nominee again? Then he is. Who are the vice president candidates going to be? President Joe Biden drops out. Kamala Harris steps to the forefront, and on and on and on we go. And I want to get to a couple of things that I think are interesting in terms of what would we do different if we could start changing a few things as it relates to the presidency. If you missed earlier in the program, we talked to Kevin Williamson from the Dispatch, and he made a really interesting observation. He said, the British monarchy has majesty but no power. And sadly, what we've done here in the United States is we've been giving more and more power to that executive branch, and that's why it has become so central in all of our lives. These elections have become so dominant because we've kind of infused so much power into it as citizens, and Congress, the other branch of government that's supposed to be a check on the executive branch, has been abdicating its power to the executive branch for decades. And this has been done under both Democratic and Republican administrations and control of Congress. And the more Congress defaults, and let me tell you what that default looks like. That default looks like Congress writing a bill, and I've seen this. I've watched this play out on the floor of the House and the Senate. And the bill has a lot of blanks in it, where Congress says, let's say it is a bill to clean up the environment. We shall have clean air. And then there are pages and pages that just say Congress hereby bequeaths to the executive branch the power and authority to decide what clean air is and is not, what the penalties might be, and to actually enforce those penalties. So now we've made the executive branch the rule maker, the decision maker, and the enforcer of it all. But what that does for Congress is it allows them to, when they have a complaint from one of their citizens or one of their constituents, they can just shrug their shoulders and say, I voted for the clean air, or you know what, I had to vote for it, or we were going to shut the government down. I couldn't let that happen. And so I voted for this bill that has pages and pages that says we hereby bequeath our power and authority to the executive branch. So that's a problem. So if I were president for a day, that would be one of the things I would make sure happens is I would say all this power that Congress has bequeathed to me, I'm going to force it to go back. Congress, this is your power, and you should be held accountable for this power and how it is used or not used or misused. So it's yours. Go. One of the other interesting topics that has come up a lot this election cycle is the Electoral College. And many people say, oh, it's outdated, it's antiquated, we should just go to a straight popular vote. And to those who say that, I always say, be careful what you wish for. Because if that were the case, we talk about some of the flyover states in this country, it all would be flyover. The only places that candidates would ever go would be California, Texas, Florida, and New York, where all the population centers are. Because if you're just trying to win by a majority of votes, that's all you have to do. So I think the framers were smart. And I think the way the Electoral College has evolved has been good. Now, I would be totally good. I think it would be great, actually, if we did what Nebraska has done and what Maine has done. If you're not familiar, so each state gets electoral votes based on 2 senators and then however many number of seats they have in the Congress. So for Utah, we have 2 senators. We have 4 congressional districts. We get 6 electoral votes. New York, 2 senators, 26 congressional districts. They get 28 electoral votes. I would love to see it done the way that Nebraska does, which is whoever wins the statewide vote, the majority of the statewide vote in Nebraska gets 2 electoral votes. And then in Nebraska, they have 3 congressional districts. And whoever wins each of those individual districts gets 1. And so this is important because this could be a deciding factor tonight in some of the scenarios that are being projected. So currently in Nebraska, statewide, former President Trump will win handily. So he'll get those 2 electoral votes. And then out of their 3 congressional districts, 2 of them are very, very red, and they're going to also go for President Trump. And so the former president will pick up 4 electoral votes. But there is 1 congressional district in the state of Nebraska that is very, very likely to go blue, to go for Vice President Harris. So she will pick up 1 electoral vote. Now, if each state did that, that would be a real game changer in terms of how elections are done. Because you'd have a state like California, rather than it being winner take all with their 54 electoral votes, the Republicans would have an opportunity to pick up quite a few. Because there are some conservative enclaves and congressional districts there in California where Republicans would win. The opposite would be true in Texas, where statewide, Republicans likely to win, but there's a lot of Democratic congressional districts, and so the Democrats would pick some up rather than all 40 of Texas's electoral votes going to the Republicans. And so I think that's a concept worth thinking about and worth exploring. Should we all become like Nebraska and Maine and divide up our electoral votes proportionally? Again, statewide gets 2, and then whoever wins each of the congressional districts gets those individual electoral votes. I think that's a pretty good system. I think that's worth a debate. I think that's worth a good conversation around. One of the other things that always comes up at this time of year is term limits. And I would be one who would be a proponent of term limits with a very, very big condition. And my condition is that if you put term limits on members of Congress, you also need to put term limits on their staff. Because if you didn't, you would have staff who are unelected and unaccountable who would stay forever. And basically, Congress would then become one more executive branch agency, one more bureaucracy. And so if you are going to do term limits for members of the House and the Senate, and I would say 6 terms in the House, 12 years, I think that's plenty. 2 terms in the Senate, 12 years, I think that's a good number. But you've also got to do it for staff so that there is that turnover. I'm with the founders who were convinced that this should be seasonal work. Go in for a season, work like crazy, make a difference, and then get out of town. Go back home. Go back to your community. Go back to your business. Go back to your profession. Go make a difference somewhere else, a different point on the compass, which is where I think we ought to be. Well, there's how it would look if I were president for a day. Those are a few things I would get tackling and things that I think would help all of us feel a little bit better about these election cycles. And there's a number of other things we could do in terms of shortening the cycle range so we're not doing this for 2 years at a time or perpetually in re-election mode. I think there's some other things that are worth thinking again about what we think we know when it comes to elections. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to go to the Harris campaign headquarters in D.C. and to the Trump campaign headquarters in West Palm Beach, Florida when we come back. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Think again on Inside Sources with Boyd Matheson. Today,
we have allocated some additional resources, some more voting booths.
No matter where you have to be or go, Stay updated on the races that matter most to you. From county to county and coast to coast, we have you covered all day Election Day. In your car at 102.7 FM or ask Alexa, play KSL News Radio.
The Advanced Window Products end of season sale is happening now. Your chance to get beautiful new state-of-the-art windows and save a bundle on your energy bill. Call Advanced Window Products now and they'll give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. We're talking about custom frames and sealed double pane glass, any style, any color, and they're created just for you right here in Utah. You need a doggy door inlaid into the glass? They do it all the time. In fact, Advanced Window Products has been building the highest quality windows here in Salt Lake City for 38 years. So there's no middleman and you save money. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. So keep the heat inside with new windows. The energy companies will even give you a rebate. Advanced Window Products offers 0% financing, affordable monthly payments, and now $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call them right now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Trail mix, beef jerky, mixing all the soda flavors at the gas station soda machine. Snacks are better on the road. The gas is better when it's top tier. And the pit stop is better when there's a dinosaur there. Love the filler moments at a Sinclair gas station near you with DinoCare, our top tier gasoline. Some sweet and salty snacks for the commute, and a big green dino for the memories. Find a gas station near you at SinclairOil.com. Sinclair, fill up your life.
Jim Weber is here from Foothill Oriental Rugs, where the semi-annual sale is underway now. Jim, describe the variety of rugs people will find when they come into your store.
We really have Utah's most complete selection, from contemporary to tribal to vegetable-dyed Afghan goods are doing really well right now. They're rich, jewel-tone colors made with vegetable dyes, and the designs are a little bit tribal, so they have a little bit of a tribal geometric edge to them, and really popular right now.
Describe what a difference it makes to have a beautiful rug in your home.
Maria, it's like a piece of art on your floor, and it will set the tone for the room. It's a handmade textile that will wear like iron, and you might want to take 2 or 3 pieces and try them, and once you get it in the room, you'll know if it's right or not. We want our customers to love what they end up with, and it's critical to see it in the space.
Don't miss out. Get your home ready for the holidays now. The semi-annual sale is underway early this year. You will find rugs up to 70% off. Foothill Oriental Rugs, 1460 South Foothill Drive, just south of Foothill Village.
Don't let cold season make you miserable. Try the quick, drug-free solution for nasal congestion, Navage. Navage uses gentle suction to flush out your sinuses with refreshing saline, helping you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all winter long. And here's even better news. Navage is now available at select Costco locations in a great new value pack. It's everything you need to start breathing better fast. Check out Navage at your local Costco today. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Breathe easy.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates. This weekend only, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandswimspasale.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Claire Scott. First, Salt Lake County Clerk Lanny Chapman says she's expecting a smooth day at the polls, but results won't start being released until after 8 p.m. Second, we're expecting a mix of light rain and snow as people head to the polls, lasting into this evening. Third, we're hearing about a house fire in West Valley City. Fire crews say they were able to get the fire at 35th West Christie Avenue under control quickly, but the house is a loss. Right now it is 39 and mostly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Get deeper insights on the news from Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today. As always, I am Boyd Matheson. It is Election Day 2024, and of course, nobody's more nervous on election night than the candidates running for office. And as we've been joking a little bit today, I think the job of the campaign advisors today is to just find things to distract the candidates so they don't go stir crazy, waiting around for these election results to start trickling in through the night. We've seen Vice President Harris out at the DNC, jumping on some phone calls with potential voters. We've seen former President Trump casting his ballot. And I think they're really just going to try to keep those two candidates busy for the next few hours until results start to come. And so we want to get a little bit on the ground and behind the scenes. And we turn to our good friends from the Deseret News. Really thrilled to have joining us from the Vice President Harris Watch Party in Washington, D.C., at Howard University, which is her alma mater. Of course, we have Samuel Benson joining us. And then Dennis Romboy, also from the Deseret News, is at the Watch Party tonight for former President Donald Trump and his campaign in West Palm Beach, Florida. And gentlemen, welcome to both of you. And Sam, let me start with you from where you will be positioned tonight at Howard University. What are you sensing? What's the state there?
You know, Boyd, first off, thanks for having me. It's been really interesting to talk to folks as they trickle in. There's certainly a sense of optimism from people here in talking to donors and campaign volunteers and staff. They recognize that it's kind of do or die in Pennsylvania. The polls close in Pennsylvania at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we should get the first batch of results within an hour or so after that. So it's still several hours away here before we get a good sense of what's going on. But overarching sense of optimism is what I'm hearing, and we'll see how long that continues as the night progresses.
Yeah, and let's go down the coastline all the way down to West Palm Beach, Florida. Dennis Romboy, of course, will be at the watch party for former President Donald Trump. And give us the lay of the land from there, Dennis.
Well, I think there's optimism here, too. I've seen a lot of people out and about with Trump T-shirts, Trump hats. I've talked to voters. There was a car that drove by that was wrapped in Trump photos and had huge flags on it. And so I think people are kind of getting excited and geared up for the evening, although they really don't know what to expect with the polls showing Harris and Trump so close.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of those where a little puff of wind in either direction. I think it's one of those that could be very, very narrow in terms of the overarching wind, but it could be one that could shift dramatically if those puffs of momentum go one way or the other. Samuel, you've been covering this close on the campaign trail throughout. Give us your sense of where you think that puff might come for the Harris campaign.
Well, I've said this before, Boyd. What it's going to come down to is what campaign shows that it's able to turn out more of its voters in this final stretch of the campaign. And that sounds trite. Of course, whoever gets the most voters in the most swing states wins. But it really comes down to, over the last 2 weeks, not necessarily persuading voters to choose between Trump or Harris, but to make sure all of the voters that are behind you actually get out to the polls and vote. And that's exactly what both of the campaigns have been doing with their on-the-ground canvassing operations. And then you see Harris today, making appearances on 7 or 8 different radio shows across different swing states, with the message being not vote for me, not this is why my policies will benefit you. Simply, if you support me, get to the polls. You have to vote. If you have a mail-in ballot, go drop it in person. If you haven't registered and you have in-person registration in your state, go and register and vote in person. I mean, that's the pitch, and we'll see, what campaign at the end of the day is better at doing that.
Yeah, it's been such an interesting thing, and I'm so glad you pointed that out, Samuel, because I do think from the Harris campaign, I think that's been a very good strategy. From a campaign strategist standpoint, I wish they had done that a week or so ago. I think they kind of lost momentum about 2 weeks ago, and they seem to have recaptured it with that positive message of, hey, just get out, show up, and vote. We're in this together. And Dennis, let me shift to you in terms of the Trump campaign that really outsourced their get out the vote efforts. So not going specifically through the Republican National Committee, but through a lot of outside groups. Any sense there in terms of where that puff of wind and momentum might materialize for the Trump campaign tonight?
I don't know. I mean, you're right that they did outsource a lot of that. I think they'll take a puff of wind wherever they can get it, whether that's Pennsylvania or Michigan. North Carolina, they need all those, a substantial amount of electoral votes from those swing states in order to win tonight. It's interesting. I did go over to a polling location this morning, and the line was out the door, maybe 20 or 30 people deep. I don't know the exact makeup of West Palm Beach in terms of the Democrats and Republicans. I talked to each, the voters for each, and just unsolicited, the thing they were concerned about more than anything is that there's no violence or no disruptions after the election tonight, regardless of which side wins.
Yeah.
All are hoping for a peaceful outcome tonight.
Yeah, so important, and that's when we'll be watching across the country, and that's one of the reasons I hope we do at least get something a little bit decisive. It still might take a few days to round it out, but I think we'll have some indications. Samuel, let me sneak in one last question for you. Anything under the headlines? You've been watching this so closely from the campaign trail and have done such great coverage throughout. Give me one thing kind of under the radar that you're kind of keeping your eye on that, this could be an interesting telling factor or maybe signal where we might be headed tonight?
Well, we've written a lot before about the impact that Republican voters could have if they're, switching party affiliations or voting across the aisle for Harris. She's made a huge effort in the last 3 or 4 weeks to target disaffected Republicans and independent voters by calling herself the unity candidate, the unison candidate. And especially in Arizona and Nevada, where she's been able to pick up key endorsements from Latter-day Saints and Republican leaders, Jeff Flake, John Giles, or some of those involved. Those Arizona and Nevada ballot returns will get later than any other states tonight because of the time difference. But as I'm watching these exit polling figures come out, that's what I'll be keyed into. Can either of these candidates convince independents or people of the other party affiliation to come out and vote for them? And have their efforts to do so had any impact? And that'll be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, that will be so telling what those crossovers are on both sides, those going from the Republicans to the Democrats and the Democrats to the Republicans. And that split ticket, I think, is also going to be the key indicator in terms of who controls the House and who controls the Senate at the end of the day. And will we end up with divided government once again, which I think actually might be our best bet for the night. Anyway, we'll continue to follow all of that. Great behind-the-scenes look, and we'll continue to watch their coverage tonight. Of course, Samuel Benson and Dennis Romboy, both from our partners and friends over at the Deseret News, Deseret.com. Watch their coverage throughout the evening and into the days tomorrow and through the rest of the week. Dennis and Samuel, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Boyd.
Thank you.
All right, great perspective there. Again, Dennis Romboy is at the watch party of former President Donald Trump in West Palm Beach, Florida. And Samuel Benson is at Vice President Kamala Harris's watch party in Washington, D.C. at Howard University, which, of course, is the Vice President's alma mater. Interesting place to have her watch party tonight. And we will watch all of it as the night goes on. Of course, we'll be here with our good friend Jeff Kaplan in the captain's chair. Mara Carabella is going to join us as well, as along with all of our team here at KSL News Radio on the trail and out at campaign headquarters across the state as we look at what's happening in the Utah portion of this election, as well as what is going on nationally. All right, we'll step aside for some bottom of the hour news. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a really interesting conversation next. We're going to talk about what happens to both the Democrats or to the Republicans if they lose. That's an important question to ask. We'll answer it with Alexander Bolton coming up next.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Good afternoon. It's 2:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour, rain or shine. People who want to vote will find a way to hit the polls. Former Utah County Clerk Josh Daniels says cold or rainy weather doesn't deter people from voting. It just might change when they vote. He says if the weather does keep people from voting early, there may be longer lines this afternoon. If you are voting in person today, please be considerate of the election volunteers and the other voters.
Look for and listen to and obey what the poll workers are telling you. We'll have people that are walking the lines to help make sure that you're moving along. We have a place for a selfie station that is not right by the ballot drop box.
Weber County Clerk Auditor Ricky Hatch says some of those volunteers are going to be there helping people for 15 hours a day. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. People aren't just watching the presidential race, they are also keeping an eye on Congress. More from ABC's Jay O'Brien.
It's going to be an interesting dynamic tonight because Republicans feel very good about their chances of taking the Senate. Democrats feel good about their chances of taking the House.
ABC's Jay O'Brien says if both of those come true, whoever gets into the White House is going to be disappointed with one of the houses of Congress. Coming up, how long will this wet weather last? We'll check the forecast and get a look at your traffic coming up next. KSL News Time, 2:32.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Winter's on the way. Soon the snow will be falling where? On your roof. If you need a new one, now's the time to call IWC Roofing. See, the shingle companies raise prices January 1st, but IWC will lock in this year's prices, even if you want your new roof next spring. And if you book now, they'll also give you an extra $2,000 off. $2,000 off IWC's already low prices. As the #1 residential roofing contractor in Utah, they get volume discounts on shingles and pass the savings on to you. Plus $2,000 off and you lock in this year's prices. IWC is one of the very few Owens Corning Platinum certified roofers in the state. Their precision teams are so skilled they'll re-roof your home in a single day. They'll send you pictures from the roof so you know exactly what you're getting, and then they'll power wash your driveway just to say thanks. Call now, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690, or go to IWCRoofingUtah.com.
Do you have an IRA or 401k? It's natural to think of this as being your money, right? But remember, you still have to pay taxes when you withdraw this money in retirement. And you could be paying a lot more in taxes on these accounts than you know. A lot more. Learn the strategies that can help you reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement. Don't miss a special edition of Retirement Solutions Radio this Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock, right here on KSL News Radio 1027.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Ricky?
It's a delay-free drive on your valley freeways. Remember, higher elevations have snow and slush on their roads like Big and Little Cottonwood Canyons. and a single vehicle accident. Foothill Drive, about 2400 South. Advanced Window Products offers Graber window coverings, high-end quality with the best warranties. Save 30% off when you mention KSL. AdvancedWindows.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cold with rain and snow tapering off. Partly cloudy tomorrow. The high both days 43. Right now 39 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources.
Inside Sources.
America's voice of reason. Boyd Matheson on Utah's home for elevated conversation. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
We're going to shift gears a little bit. There's been talk about winning and how to win and the way you win and why you win. And now we're going to spend a segment of the show talking about losing. And I actually think it's one of the most important conversations. When I was a gatekeeper in the United States Senate and we'd be screening people who wanted to get an endorsement, I'd always ask the question, what happens if you lose? And I believe people who don't know what they would do or what they would look at if they lost don't deserve your vote. And so I think that's an important question. Alexander Bolton, of course, is a staff writer at The Hill, covers the Senate and national politics, and he has a great piece on what happens for Democrats, what happens for Republicans if they lose tonight, if they lose the White House, if they lose control of Congress. And I actually think some of those conversations are the most important. It's like an athletic team who might be winning, but you look at them and think, there might be something broken under there. Winning covers a multitude of sins and problems, and the same is true in politics. And Alexander's going to lead us through what both these parties should be looking at if they do lose. And Alexander, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Boyd. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so let's dig in this. So let's say the former President Trump comes up short tonight. He does not win. Vice President Harris becomes the next president of the United States. What will or what should the conversation be for Republicans on the other side of this?
Well, I think the conversation is going to be an intense debate over the future direction of the Republican Party and whether the party should continue embracing Trump's MAGA brand of politics. We're talking about, pro-tariff, anti-immigration, America first, and then, of course, kind of the, his brand of, I guess you could call it, hard-knuckled politics, where, being politically incorrect is sort of, a winning formula for Republicans. Now, what the strategists I've talked to are predicting that some of the traditional Reagan-Bush Republicans, like Mitch McConnell, for example, and maybe John Thune, his deputy in the Senate, and maybe even Mitt Romney, to whatever extent he still has influence, will try to bring the party back to more of the traditional Reagan-Bush mold. I mean, it's a tall order. I'm not, I don't have any illusions about that. And on the other side, you're going to have the Trump allies, the MAGA type Republicans who are going to say, like, look, there's no going back. We are now a populist party. But Trump's critics within the party, and they've been around. They haven't gone away. They've just been quieter lately. But they're going to make the argument that, look, Trump, he won in 2016, but in 2018 he lost control of the House. In 2020 he lost control of the Senate, and he lost the White House. 2022 Republicans were supposed to have a wave election. In fact, disappointing results in House and Senate races. Yes, they won the House, not a very big majority, caused all sorts of problems. And in the Senate, they fell short of winning back the majority. So if Trump loses again, his detractors are going to say, look, we've had 18, 20, 22, 24, 4 bad cycles in a row with Trump. We need to basically discard this guy. Now that's going to be part of the argument. From his detractors now, the people who support him are going to say, look, he's gotten more people to the polls than anyone else before on the Republican side. He brings a bunch of first-time voters out. He connects us to the working class in a way that we haven't been in decades. So, it's going to be a very intense debate. And I think, we're going to see more fireworks on the Republican side if Trump loses than on the Democratic side if Harris loses.
Yeah. Let's dig into that a little bit and look under the hood in terms of what the Democrat conversation would look like if the former president becomes president once again and the Harris campaign comes up a little bit short. What does that conversation sound like?
Well, I think that's a very different conversation because, the Democrats are pretty much unified on policy, in stark contrast to the Republicans. Republicans have major disagreements on policy, defense spending, tariffs, protection of U.S. power abroad, immigration even, big divisions. Democrats are largely unified on the policy, but there are some disagreements over strategy and disagreements over, what kind of candidate do we need to have to, basically win? And, Harris clearly is a candidate meant to, appeal to women and appeal to black voters, an important Democratic constituency. But if she can't deliver black men, if they don't turn out in sufficient numbers this election, and if she doesn't win white women like Hillary Clinton did in 2016, I think it's really going to call into question the sort of the gender political calculation of selecting a nominee. They may have to go back. I think this would be more relevant to 2028, but maybe the next nominee is someone, again, a little bit in the mold of Joe Biden, a white guy who's kind of can appeal to older voters, senior voters, white voters, to be perfectly blunt. And so I think that is more where the discussion is, because I don't think Democrats are very divided on the issues, with the exception maybe of immigration. And I think there's a growing recognition among Democrats that they need to get more serious about the border security, and that Biden really kind of fumbled that issue, and it was a massive political liability for them. But on the economy, there aren't any Democrats wringing their hands over Biden's economic policies. They all agreed with him.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Let's take just a really quick trip around Congress. Both the House and the Senate, of course, are up. It does seem likely, regardless of who wins at the top of the ticket, seems to me there's a pretty good chance we're going to be with divided government once again. Give us a quick snapshot in terms of Republicans, House and Senate, and Democrats in the House and the Senate.
Well, look, Republicans have a 70% chance of, winning back the Senate. I mean, they are strong favorites to win back the Senate. The House is more up in the air. It's just tough to predict because there just isn't such good polling in these House districts. Now, many of the swing seats are in Democratic strongholds, New York and California. So generally, the thinking is that Democrats will take back the House. Now, what does this mean for leadership? Well, in leadership, if Trump wins, the question is, who's going to lead the Senate after Mitch McConnell retires? Is it going to be his deputy, John Thune, who Trump once dismissed as Mitch's boy? Is that going to work out, or is Trump going to want someone who's more of a MAGA brand loyalist in that job? So that's going to be a question there. If Harris loses, I think Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader, is going to have to answer some questions. He has a secure job, but he has been touting Biden's first 2 years in office as kind of the most prolific and producer of biggest accomplishments going back to the New Deal. If the Democrats get slapped down today, I think he's going to have some explaining to do. He was telling everyone that things in his caucus, that things were are rosy and going swimmingly. If his kind of optimistic talk doesn't match the results, he's going to be under some pressure. And on the Democratic side, Hakeem Jeffries, he's a new face. I think everyone wants to give him, a turn in leadership, as Speaker if they in fact, win back the House. But he is largely untested. He is Chuck Schumer's congressman in Brooklyn, so he's very close to Schumer. I think he largely takes his lead from Schumer. They collaborate closely, and so kind of Schumer is kind of in Hakeem Jeffries' kitchen cabinet and will be providing guidance in the months ahead as Jeffries takes over the Speaker's position or remains as House Democratic leader.
Yeah, fantastic insight as always. Alexander Bolton, staff writer for The Hill, covers the Senate and national politics, and this was a great piece and a lot to think about because often it's what we learn in defeat that often sets the course for the future. This is really some great analysis. Alex, as always, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on your show.
All right, that's Alexander Bolton. He is one of the great ones. Always love listening and talking to Alexander. His writing is always great. His analysis is so smart and gets us thinking about important questions. And I believe what you learn in defeat is one of the most important spaces to actually learn. And will either political party learn the lessons and change trajectory for the future? That's the big question. More Inside Sources coming up next.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer Duster. Love it or your money back.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. N76, visit staples.com/print for details.
Hi, my name is Kendon Holdaway, and I work for the National Kidney Foundation of Utah and Idaho. Before that, I worked as a dialysis technician at the largest dialysis center in Utah. And before that, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease at age 14. However, I am one of the lucky ones. I have an amazing mother who gave me a second chance. She donated her kidney to me, and it changed my life. Thanks to her and a scholarship from the Kidney Foundation, I was able to graduate college, get married, and apply to medical school in hopes of becoming a doctor. Sadly, there are many who are not as lucky as I am. Every car you donate to towcars.org gives hope and help to 3,000 patients like me, many of whom are still waiting for their miracle. Towing is free and donations are tax deductible. Keep donations local by donating online at towkars.org. That's towcars with a K. Like kidney.
Hey, diamond lovers. Shane Company knows fine jewelry. That means a lot when you're looking for a dream engagement ring, a beautiful keepsake, or the perfect gift. When it's this important, you want someone who knows exactly how to work with your budget, not against it. Someone who knows you deserve a piece more beautiful than you've ever imagined. Through 4 generations as a family business, we've always sourced our diamonds and gemstones directly, cut out the middleman, and passed the savings on to you. Come see us in store and compare our wide selection of diamonds, rubies, and a rainbow of sapphires in different shapes and sizes. So many in stock and ready to take home today. Create your dream engagement ring in 3 easy steps. Or pick a perfectly preset ring that's created by our in-house design team. Browse our selection of fine jewelry gifts for everyone in your life, from diamond and gemstone studs to must-have tennis bracelets and beautiful birthstone necklaces. With our everyday competitive prices and unmatched free lifetime warranty, Shane Company is your go-to destination for fine jewelry. Visit shaneco.com and come in to see for yourself. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates. This weekend only, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too. Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
Dave and Debbie.
It's impossible to digest and consume all of the news that's now coming at us through either social media or through web pages or through the radio. Pick what is most impactful in your life and focus on that. And that's what Dave and I do every single morning. We pick those issues that are most important to our listeners and we boil it down so it's digestible. It's simple to understand.
I think we're trying to find the essence of the story. You know, you can't be an expert on all things, but that doesn't mean you can't be curious and really find out more and educate yourself and learn the complexities of an issue. But I think all of us start at ground zero on everything. Ask questions, show that curiosity.
And then if you need more research, you can always go to KSLNewsRadio.com and learn more.
Listen for Dave and Dejanovic 9 to noon on KSL News Radio.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Maria Chaleos. First, polls close at 8 in Utah tonight, but we could start hearing results from other states as soon as 5. Make sure you stick with Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news. Second, former President Trump plans to watch the election results come in tonight at Mar-a-Lago. Vice President Harris will spend the evening at Howard University. And third, soil moisture levels are going up in some parts of the state thanks to some recent storms. Storms later this month could help even more. Right now, 39 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City, and back to Boyd Matheson and Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Hear elevated conversation on crucial issues. Boyd Matheson on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources here on KSL News Radio. It's great to be with you today. As always, I am Boyd Matheson, and it is Election Day today. And I want to start with something that I'm actually going to end with as well today. That is, as we all take a big exhale in all of this, we got to keep something in proper perspective. When we talk about pledging our patriotism, we're not pledging our patriotism to a political party, nor do we pledge to a politician of any stripe, of any age. We don't even pledge to a policy on a particular issue. What it is all about, what we ought to pledge our lives, our fortune, our sacred honor, our patriotism to, is the principles that founded this nation. Because if we recognize the power that is in the principles inherently, and when we actually value those principles, live those principles, promote those principles, demonstrate what it looks like to live those principles, the rest all takes care of itself. Politics is downstream, folks, and politicians are way, way, way downstream. And we've gotten it all backwards in the last several election cycles. And we've tried to put them at the top of the heap, as if they were the wellspring of all that's good. We had an earlier conversation today about the British monarchy and how the British monarchy has great majesty but no power. And we've sort of flipped the script on that with the way we're running our presidential politics and our politicians in general in these days. We've turned them into celebrities and super influencers. And suddenly we're pledging allegiance to a political party or to a politician. rather than to the principles that founded the nation and are the only thing that will ensure that our constitutional republic continues. And so, yes, there's great anxiety, there's some stress, there's that natural tension that comes with Election Day. That's a good thing. It's a natural response. We've talked about it for the last 2 weeks. Feeling big emotions on big emotional days is a good thing. It means you have emotions. The worst thing would be to have no emotion at all, to be indifferent. Indifference is the danger. And if we become indifferent about the principles that founded and created this nation, all the other stuff is a train wreck. And so that's the one thing I hope everyone reflects on today and goes back to today is the principles. And we should take the advice of Thomas Jefferson in his first inaugural address. He said we must not assume that every difference of opinion is a difference of principle. It's not. We can have a difference of opinion in how a certain policy should be done or what should be prioritized or how much in taxes should be raised or how much money should be spent by the federal government. That's great. But the principles have to get down to what are we doing as a country? And what does that mean and what is that for? And are we relying on principles that lead to upward mobility and opportunity for everybody? Do we recognize the principles that have driven this country, that has fostered freedom, not just here at home, but all around the world, that have lifted more people out of poverty, have fueled more dreams and innovation than anything in the history of the world? Yes, we have problems. We have plenty of warts in the past and in the present. And they all can be overcome by getting back to the principles. So we're certainly not perfect as a nation. Nobody's pretending that. We know we have real issues, but I'll tell you this, if we continue to prioritize our politics and our politicians ahead of our principles, we will be kept a very, very safe distance from solving any problems other than the politician's problem of getting reelected and raising campaign cash. So of all the lessons that we learned from the 2024 election cycle, to me the most important is that it's time to quit pledging our patriotism and what we care about to political parties. And we should stop doing that for politicians as personalities, cult personalities. And even our favorite policy position has to be subservient to really pledging our lives, our fortune, our sacred honor, as the founders did, to a set of principles. And if we get back to that space, we're going to be just fine. And as we've talked about this week, today is the first Tuesday, and we'll be with you all the way to the end. Jeff Kaplan's in the seat, warming up, ready to go. Mara Carbella is going to join us coming up at 6 o'clock. And we'll have you all the way deep into the night as results start to trickle in all across the state of Utah and all across the country. But let's just all remember that Wednesday morning is going to come. And Wednesday morning is the most important morning because that's where we can all once again recommit to the principles that have made and preserved us a nation. I'm Boyd Matheson. Thanks for joining us today. And as always, especially on Election Day, as you go out into the world, make sure you see something that inspires, say something that uplifts, and do something that makes a difference, including your vote.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We do have some occasional snow showers. 38 degrees, KSL's top story. It's actually the calm before the storm as America votes, and we wait for the results from the east as early as 5 p.m.